Potato.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
First at 4, good afternoon. We begin with breaking news. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has contacted the Australian Embassy in Washington following the assault of a Channel 7 news crew at the site of protests in the US Capitol. These were the scenes earlier today as Channel 7 reporter Amelia Brace and her cameraman Tim Myers were attacked by police while working near the White House. The Prime Minister asked the Australian Embassy to investigate the incident. Live to Amelia Brace in Washington. Amelia, these are shocking scenes of you at the front line of clashes between protesters and police. You're just doing your job. Take us through those frightening events.
Yeah, it was certainly very frightening, and this was actually just a few blocks behind us here in front of the White House, an area we can't even access tonight with the Secret Service completely locking down this area. Now, we were in a public park about half an hour before the curfew came into effect at 7 p.m. And for that reason, everyone in that area, including protesters and ourselves as media, even though we are allowed out when there is a curfew, everyone thought that they had a good half hour before the police moved in, but that was not the case. All of a sudden, there were rubber bullets ringing out, and that wall of police officers really moved down that street quickly, pushing those protesters back. Now, we tried to take shelter behind a building, thinking that we would be safe there, obviously with the police officers recognising that we were working media, but that is exactly when they turned on us. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely. Oh.
Whoa.
You heard us yelling there that we were media, but they don't care. They are being indiscriminate at the moment. They chased us down that street, and as you see, they were firing these rubber bullets at everyone. There is tear gas, and now we are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment. Here they come again. We're moving back. We're moving back.
We're going to go low and across the street now, okay?
Yeah.
On my shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim is Amelia's cameraman.
He's in the middle of this, guys.
He's just trying to get them out of the...
We're getting hit. We're getting hit by rubber bullets now, guys.
Can you try to get to somewhere safe, please, Amelia?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing now, guys. We're trying to get out of this area. Exactly.
Well, Amelia, we now know that show of force by police was to clear the streets for a presidential photo opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And from one remarkable scene to another, just moments after all of that violence and mayhem on the streets, Donald Trump walked out of the White House. It's the first time that we'd seen him in 2 days. And in a real show of defiance, he walked to the Church of the Presidents, which just last night was on fire, and he stood there with a Bible. Now, this actually came after an address to the nation from the Rose Garden, in which Donald Trump used really strong language, calling for a police crackdown, exactly like what we saw, and even threatening that the military could become involved.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
So strong words from the president. What's the response been from state leaders to his threat of calling in the military?
Well, Anne, it really depends on the leader and on the state and on the party. All state governors had a phone hookup with the president this morning, and it was incredibly tense. Donald Trump said that many of them had been weak and foolish in their handling of the crisis. And as I mentioned earlier, he called for more heavy-handed tactics. There was one particular moment in that phone call that really stood out, and that was the governor of Maine, where Donald Trump is due to visit on Friday, suggested that maybe he not come to that state, given that it at the moment is not suffering the full extent of these riots. And basically, that governor was worried that if the president were to come there, it could flare up tensions. And Donald Trump basically said, well, if you don't want me to come, then I'm definitely coming. That really gives you an idea of the tension between the federal leader and the state leaders here.
Amelia Brace reporting live from Washington, D.C. Glad you're OK, Amelia, and Tim's OK too. Well, George Floyd's death has been declared a homicide following an autopsy after he was killed while in police custody. Floyd's family today spoke in Minneapolis, where his brother pleaded for calm.
So what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing. Because that's not going to bring my brother back at all.
We'll cross live to Minneapolis a little later in this bulletin. Hundreds of people were arrested in Los Angeles for rioting and looting. Live to Paul Caddick in LA. Paul, there were people on the streets protesting again today, but they seem more peaceful.
Good afternoon, Anne. Yeah, the protesters were largely peaceful here in Los Angeles today, but there was still plenty of arrests and, sadly, more looting. And so tonight here on world-famous Hollywood Boulevard, the National Guard is standing guard. We have a police helicopter overhead. We have police patrols going through the streets. A curfew has been in place here for several hours now. After earlier today, there was a march involving hundreds of people bringing the Black Lives Matter message here to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, sadly, unfortunately, there were some people who used that opportunity to actually raid shops in the area, all around this area. In fact, police units swept in to try and chase them out or grab them. Many of the arrests, though, made here today were protesters who refused to obey the curfew, saying they were prepared to go to jail for the cause. There was also a moment early in the march, which featured families and children, where police actually joined the crowd in taking a knee in symbolic defiance of racial inequality. Now, there have been rallies and some clashes in the city's west and south today. In the Van Nuys area, there were tense moments between protesters and police, and shopkeepers armed with guns were driving away would-be looters. Today, the mayor of Los Angeles had this message for his citizens.
I would say to anybody in pain, I'm in pain. And for us to heal, we have to do the work that this moment demands, that George Floyd's death demands. We can do this work. It's painful work, but it never happens with violence and in the face of violence.
In the Santa Monica area of Los Angeles today, which was the scene of so much looting yesterday, we actually saw an uplifting scene. Before dawn, locals and volunteers started turning up to start helping clean up the mess. They came with brooms and dustpans there to clean up their streets and help storekeepers clean up their damaged stores. And
Paul, on the other side of the country in New York, curfew was set at 11 p.m, but still thousands were milling about on the streets with reports of looting and unrest there.
Yeah, and sadly that curfew has failed to prevent another night of destruction in New York City. Now, we've seen the pictures of bands of protesters still on the streets of Manhattan and Brooklyn as the deadline loomed, and looting was widespread, with some of the city's best-known retailers targeted. Video shows some protesters, though, arguing with people breaking windows, urging them to stop. The Mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, acknowledged the failure of the curfew to stop criminal violence, and as a result, the curfew will now be imposed tomorrow at the earlier time of 8 p.m. While here in Los Angeles, in a bid to keep control, we now have, in the heart of Hollywood, the National Guard.
Paul Caddick live in LA. Thank you very much, Paul. To news from home, and there's been a big announcement with further easing of coronavirus restrictions for New South Wales. A date has now been set for gyms, yoga, indoor pools and dance studios to reopen. There's also an end in sight to the ban on kids and community sport.
This does, in one way, nearly capture every area that we haven't looked at previously, giving the economy an opportunity to rebound.
We'll have more details on the changes and when they'll come into play coming up in this bulletin. Federal Labor has warned the Morrison government must include funds for social housing in a planned economic rescue package for the giant construction sector. Political correspondent Tim Lester has more from Canberra.
Celebrating new coronavirus milestones and acknowledging new threats. Today, the Health Minister praised Australia reaching 1.5 million COVID-19 tests and the fact just one sufferer is on a ventilator in intensive care. For now, it's the economic dangers that feel uncontrolled.
The pipeline of projects for housing is about to drop off a cliff.
Construction. The government has already confirmed its next stimulus measures will include help for a sector that drives more than 1 million Australian jobs. This morning, Labor moved to shape the debate around housing programs.
If the government announces billions of dollars in housing and can't find 1 cent to put a roof over the head of people who are sleeping in a park tonight, then that'll be a massive missed opportunity.
This as the Arts Minister helped reopen Canberra's National Gallery and confirmed the new stimulus will also target his portfolio.
There's no doubt that the arts sector has been hit very, very hard by COVID-19.
Paul Fletcher says arts funding might go to revenue-starved
organisations and institutions as they think about planning, for example, a new show, a new exhibition.
The government is also assessing the cost of a federal court ruling today. It found that the Gillard government's ban on cattle exports 9 years ago was capricious and unreasonable. And the Northern Territory-based Brett Cattle Company that brought the action is entitled to substantial damages. The Agriculture Minister says the government is working carefully through the judgment before commenting.
Meteorologist David Brown joins us now. Hello, Brownie. A bit brisk today?
Oh, yeah, it certainly has been, Anne. Yes, Dave, extreme wind chill, especially in our coastal suburbs. It's felt like, well, less than 10 degrees for most of the day. Sub-zero in the Blue Mountains. But at the moment, in the city, well, it feels like 9 degrees. The wind is west-southwesterly, running around 22 kilometres per hour. You'll notice some showers clipped, well, mainly coastal areas this morning before gradually moving offshore. The highest reported total, 5 millimetres at Little Bay, I should say, in the city. 4 millimetres up to 9 o'clock this morning, less than 1 millimetre in Parramatta. To the north, check out this. It's been snowing in Armidale this morning. Yes, just teasing flurries, but not enough to stick on the ground. But of course, it is the first fall for the season. But as we go to the future radar, well, it's looking dry for the remainder of the working week as the winds continue to blow out of the south, and they will be cold. And of course, as we look at our model tomorrow, we're expecting dry, partly cloudy conditions under this rather cold southerly airstream for your Wednesday. At the moment, temperatures, well, yes, it feels like 9 degrees at Cronulla. You'll notice, though, high in the Blue Mountains, the wind chill at the moment, there it is. It feels like -3 degrees. Local forecast in detail, and top of the hour.
That's gold. Thank you, Brownie. Still to come in Sydney's afternoon news on 7. Our coverage of the violence and unrest sweeping the United States continues. Plus, Vladimir Putin's plans to stay in power until 2036. And opening up emotional scenes as Europe begins the road out of Corona.
So what triggers this guy? Or who? Everything they've ever learned. Where else do you go? Everything they've ever done. Who else do you hurt? Has all been leading to this.
Us. They come after us.
The killer final season of Criminal Minds. Tonight at 9 on 7.
Join AHM Hospital and Extras Direct and you'll get 6 weeks free. Plus, we'll waive any 2 and 6 month waits on extras.
Yay!
Whether you're a single, a couple, or a family. It's that simple. That doesn't look very simple. Offer ends June 30. Find out more and join AHM Direct today. AHM, the simple bit.
G'day, sunshine.
Hi everyone.
It is so important that we keep active. I'm really trying to track my food.
I've lost 2 kilos. Feeling good. Thanks, WW.
Join today and get 40% off at www.com or download the app.
The world could do with some good, but why throw eggs when you can scramble them? With a hot pan and a little Lurpak, a cook can tame the wild, feed the hungry, and nourish the weak. So choose your weapon, embrace the unwanted, and transform nothing into everything. The world needs more cooks, because where there are cooks, there is hope. Yum.
Your Ford dealer is still open and ready to help your business get back to business with high-vis value. So you can get a hard-working Ranger XLT for only $54,990 drive away, or the great value Ranger XLS for just $46,490 drive away. And don't forget to check if your business is eligible for the government's instant asset write-off this financial year. So hurry into your Ford dealer now for high-vis value.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging and won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
G'day, sunshine.
Introducing BP Rewards. Earn BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards.
Or choose to earn Qantas points.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. Your rewards, your way.
Even remotely, our home loan specialists can zoom into your home to help you save on your next loan.
At Terry White Chemmart, we're here to help this winter. It's why pharmacists like Bridget are trained to administer flu vaccinations right here in store. Book your flu vaccination now. Terry White Chemmart. Now that's real chemistry.
G'day, sunshine.
You're watching 7's 4 p.m. Sydney News. This is a view from Cronulla, where right now it's 15 degrees. If you've just joined us, our top story this afternoon, the Prime Minister calling for an investigation after a 7 News crew was assaulted by police in Washington, D.C. The attack happened live on air this morning as officers cleared the way for an appearance by President Donald Trump. A family of 5 is lucky to be alive after narrowly escaping this ferocious house fire in Sydney's west this morning. The blaze took hold of the Guildford home just before 5:30. By the time firefighters arrived, most of the damage had already been done. The cause is not suspicious. Rome's Colosseum has finally reopened to sightseers as the coronavirus lockdown is gently eased in parts of Europe. But as Hugh Whitfeld reports, it's being managed very differently to before, and not everyone is allowed in.
Closed for 3 months, people are back at Rome's Colosseum. The ancient site has new health checks for the few hundred people allowed in. They're only locals. International tourists are yet to return to Italy.
Yes, it's emotional because it is a rebirth after a very difficult time for Italy and all the world.
33,000 people have died here from coronavirus. In Spain, it's 27,000. But for the first time since March, no one has died in Spain from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. In one city, they're hoping to test everyone, believing that's the path out of the pandemic. In Britain, the road to recovery is far slower. Traditional outdoor markets are back on the street for the first time in 10 weeks. Some students are allowed back at school, but concern remains that Britain, with a death toll approaching 40,000, is moving too soon.
I don't imagine that there's a Director of Public Health in the country who's not concerned about what might happen next.
Some fear a second peak of the virus is on its way. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
Russia's Vladimir Putin has taken a big step towards securing his presidency for another 16 years. In a video call with electoral and health officials, the already long-time leader named July 1 as the date for a constitutional reform ballot. The original vote was postponed due to COVID-19, with critics saying it's still too risky to reschedule. Long queues have formed in Hong Kong as residents seek to take Britain up on an offer that could eventually allow them citizenship there. It follows a move by China to tighten power in the territory. The crowds are applying for or renewing British national passports. The proposal to give holders extended rights to live in the UK has infuriated China. The astronauts from the weekend's historic SpaceX launch have spoken after day one at work on the International Space Station, giving some encouraging words during troubled times back on Earth.
Anything is possible. You know, we've had a really rough couple of months, and just to be able to show the country what the agency's made of.
Saturday's manned launch was the first from the US in 9 years. Still ahead in 7's afternoon news, the latest from the US as protests continue and the president breaks his silence. Plus, spoiled for choice, as streaming services grow, how to find the right one for you. And in Sport with Mel, who the Sharks are relying on to end their winless start to the season.
Tonight on 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Battles rage on the ground in America's race riots. President Trump's response, what he's vowing to do, and the new player in Australia's streaming war.
Tonight on 7 News at 6.
Are our truckers the ones that'll need rescuing?
Hey, hell, it's not. Mate, I haven't had a shower since I left.
New Outback Truckers, tonight on Mate.
At Harvey Norman, get up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops. Get a $100 bonus gift card with this Lenovo IdeaPad laptop, now only $999. A bonus $200 gift card with this Asus VivoBook Flip laptop for $1,499. Or a bonus $400 gift card with this HP Pavilion laptop featuring the latest 10th Gen Intel Core i7 processor. Up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops, now at Harvey Norman.
Kill bacteria that can cause sore throats fast with Betadine Sore Throat Gargle. Or treat and relieve with new Betadine Gargle and Lozenges Kit.
Australia's #1 immunity and vitamin C brand, Synovus, is available for a great price at
Chemist Warehouse.
There's Synovus Sugarless C 500mg. The formula helps support healthy immune system function and reduces the severity and duration of common cold symptoms. And it's only $16.99. Exclusive to Chemist Warehouse, Synovus Echinacea Garlic Zinc and C tablets relieve symptoms of mild upper respiratory tract infections and support healthy immune system function, and is now $23.99. So head into Chemist Warehouse and support your health this winter with Synovus.
At HCF, Australia's largest not-for-profit health fund, we've always put our members first, knowing the importance of care when it counts. And it's never counted more than now. That's why we're giving eligible members access to a wider range of treatment options at no extra cost in the comfort and security of your own home. Vital health services such as chemo, complex wound care and intravenous antibiotics, so you can still receive quality care without having to visit a hospital, because uncertain times call for uncommon care.
Guys, this has just arrived. Beautiful garment. There's a big stain on it. Trust Pink, Forget Hot, half a scoop, cold water from Vanish. I think this is going to be a bit of a challenge. I'm up for it. Pop it in the tub, Cold water, give it a little bit of a rub. Blows my mind that it is this easy. How beautiful is this blouse? And look, no stain.
For amazing results, just cold wash with Vanish Oxy Action.
Make a bold statement in your home with a long-lasting quality floor from Harvey Norman. From pet-friendly carpets to durable timber flooring, you'll be spoiled for choice. With innovative products from the world's leading brands exclusive to Harvey Norman. Let our experts help you find the perfect fit for your home. We can provide the complete service, from measure and quote to installation. Or find the perfect rug from our huge range, including exclusive collections. With 60 months interest-free available, talk to our experts today. Harvey Norman, your flooring specialists.
Go!
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
No surprise that the COVID lockdown has given a major boost to entertainment streaming services like Netflix and Stan, but you might be surprised to learn about some lesser-known streaming services and what they offer.
Netflix has a lot of original content, but not a huge back catalogue. You see, Binge has a huge back catalogue, but also are introducing new content as well.
Tonight in 7 News at 6, we'll look at whether you're paying the right price for the right content. Time for sport now with Mel McLaughlin. Hello, Mel. A much-needed boost for the struggling Sharks.
Hi, Anne. Yeah, you're right. Matt Moylan says he's ready to play a full 80 minutes to help kickstart Cronulla's winless season. Moylan returned from injury off the bench in the loss to the West Tigers, but with halfback Chad Townsend set to miss Saturday night's game against the Cowboys with a hamstring strain, it's likely Moylan will be rushed into the starting side.
Obviously, sitting 0-3 isn't where we want it to be, and 0-4 is a long way to come back from, so we just got to be desperate.
North Queensland superstar Jason Taumalolo has been ruled out with a knee complaint. Raiders halfback George Williams says he's not letting the hype go to his head after becoming an overnight sensation in the NRL. The Englishman starred in Canberra's win over the Storm in Melbourne on Saturday night. Williams says he had no hesitation in signing up to play under Ricky Stewart, who's known for being hard on his playmakers.
I wouldn't say I was scared. Obviously I was excited more than anything to work under him. The boys obviously said you obviously can go mad if you're not performing.
The Raiders host the Knights on Sunday afternoon at Campbelltown Stadium. Isaac Heaney will spend even more time in the Swans forward line after Lance Franklin's hamstring injury. Heaney starred up forward in round one and will likely play a similar role against Essendon at the SCG on Sunday week.
Really stands out in terms of his overall ability, his strength, speed, endurance. He's a tremendous athlete. No doubt he'll probably spend a bit more time forward.
And Josh Kennedy's great-grandfather, Hawthorn icon John Kennedy Sr., is the latest AFL Hall of Famer to be upgraded to legend status. Rugby Australia concedes the massive cost-cutting at head office will have an impact on their plan to revive the Wallabies. Interim Chief Executive Rob Clark has been forced to sack more than 70 staff. But he says ensuring the Wallabies have enough funding to be competitive again is the major focus.
Part of our financial underpinning is a successful Wallabies, so we'll be protecting that as much as possible.
Clark says incoming head coach Dave Rennie won't be required to take a 5% pay cut like existing staff. Sports stars across the globe are using their profile to call for justice for George Floyd. Liverpool players took a knee around the centre square at Anfield as a show of solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. As violent protests continue across the United States, a host of prominent black athletes, including Serena Williams, Michael Jordan and Lewis Hamilton, have all expressed anger and frustration at what they say is an ingrained racism in society. People speaking up all around the world at the moment, Anne.
Mel, thank you very much. See you soon. This afternoon's top stories are next. As we're live to Minneapolis, we'll hear from the family of George Floyd following the result of his autopsy. Plus, big news on the way as restrictions continue to ease. When will gyms be allowed to reopen? And below zero interest rates, what it would mean for your mortgage and your savings.
Wow, that was really powerful.
I've never seen anything like this.
most original thing we've seen.
On a brand new night, which spectacular acts will blow you away?
You're fearless.
What a way to end the show.
Get ready for one hell of a night.
I absolutely adore you. Incredibly beautiful, mesmerising. That was the moment we've been waiting for.
New Britain's Got Talent. Thursday, 7:30 on 7.
While we're all having nights in, make yours a big night in. Because this year you could win up to $8,000 worth of prizes from a huge range. Woolworths Big Night In. There's a new winner every day.
Does muscle pain hold you back from doing your best? Try Voltaren Emul Gel from Chemist Warehouse. It relieves muscle pain 2 times faster and reduces inflammation to get you moving sooner. Right now, exclusive to Chemist Warehouse, Voltaren Emul Gel 180 grams is just $25.99. Target your neck, back and muscle pain and experience the joy of movement with Voltaren Emul Gel. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging and won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
When headaches hold you back, try Nurofen Quicksorb. Its advanced formula absorbs quickly, relieving headaches fast. For quick, effective pain relief, choose Nurofen Quicksorb.
Amongst conflict, natural disaster and epidemics, we are there. Our medical teams are drawing on years of experience in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but not without you. As an independent organisation, Médecins Sans Frontières needs your support to continue our life-saving work. Help us fight the COVID-19 pandemic and protect the most vulnerable in all our projects. Donate now.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has taken action after a 7 News crew was assaulted by US police during protests in Washington, D.C. this morning. Reporter Amelia Brace and her cameraman were attacked during a live on-air report, prompting Mr Morrison to contact the Australian Embassy in Washington and ask for an investigation.
Our ambassador should be certainly making representation on behalf of these Australians who effectively have been assaulted. That's what it is, for doing their job.
We're very concerned always about the safety of Australians overseas.
Shortly after the attack, it became clear that officers were clearing the way for President Trump to leave the safety of the White House and be filmed walking in the streets nearby. For more, we cross live to US Bureau Chief Ashley Mullaney. Ash, this is your team in the firing line. We're worried about their safety and yours, and how the media is being treated while covering these riots.
Well, Anne, the video we've seen today speaks for itself, but what we witnessed in Washington was an abhorrent and deeply disturbing use of force by police. Amelia Brace and Tim Myers were lawfully reporting on the protest taking place outside the White House today when half an hour before the curfew kicked in, these officers started moving towards the protesters, and caught right in the middle was our crew. And you can see from the video they are attacked with a shield and a baton. In what were really disturbing pictures this afternoon. We understand that the Prime Minister has spoken to the embassy in Washington to have the matter investigated. He has also reached out to Channel 7 to check on their welfare, and thankfully the team are both doing okay. But we have seen journalists be arrested, and today we have seen them be assaulted. Anne?
And Ash, tonight you're in Minneapolis where George Floyd was killed. There have been conflicting reports following his autopsy.
Yeah, so the family wasn't satisfied with the original report from the medical examiner's office, which found that George Floyd didn't die from strangulation. Their own independent autopsy has found that, in fact, he did die of asphyxiation as a result of that officer pressing his knee on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes, 2 other officers leaning on his back. That stopped the blood getting to his brain, it stopped the air getting to his lungs, is what this report found. His death has now been deemed a homicide, and Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis police officer, will face court on Monday for third-degree murder and manslaughter over this. What we've seen on the ground today has been an extremely powerful moment here in Minneapolis at the site where George Floyd was killed by this police officer, with the first member of the Floyd family visiting the vigil here with a powerful message for the city and the country that he wants to see an end to the violence and the arson and the looting that's happened across America.
I understand y'all upset, but like it was already said, I doubt y'all half as upset as I am. So if I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here blowing up stuff, if I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing.
So there is still a small group of demonstrators here at the vigil tonight. It is now past the curfew, so there was some thought that perhaps police may turn up, as we have seen on other nights, to move protesters along. That hasn't happened this evening, and thankfully things remain calm at the moment, Anne.
All right, take it easy once again, Ash. Good to speak with you. Ashley Mullaney, live in Minneapolis. Thank you. And growing solidarity protests are being held across Europe and other parts of the world. These images are from Amsterdam, where peaceful protesters raised their fists in the air. It's one of several rallies planned in Dutch cities this week. A small number of demonstrators maintained a presence outside the US Embassy in Berlin. In Paris, George Floyd's name has been graffitied next to the River Seine. And this mural of the man whose death sparked these race riots has been painted with the words, "I can't breathe," in Syria, on the last standing wall of a building damaged by airstrikes. There's more good news on coronavirus restrictions in New South Wales, with gyms allowed to reopen at the end of next week and kids' sport to resume from the start of next month. Chris Reason is following the story. Chris, a big announcement from the government today.
Yeah, well, Anne, good afternoon. Of course, yesterday New South Wales opened up its bars, pubs, clubs and beauty salons, so perhaps it wouldn't have been a great look to keep our gymnasiums and community sport banned, and that's exactly what has happened. The New South Wales government today moving to relax the restrictions on both those key areas. It'll happen in a two-phase move. From June 13, we'll see gymnasiums, fitness centres, dance studios, indoor pools, saunas, tattoo parlours and massage centres all opened under various levels of social distancing regulations, 10 per class maximum where applicable and 100 per venue. At this stage, though, they are looking to relax that further. Then on July 1, community sport will be opened up again for 18 years and under. So junior sport only, kids sport, not adult sport, not over 18s. The Deputy Premier and Sports Minister made the announcement at a press conference this morning.
Book in your facilities with the council, activate your volunteers and excite the kids to return on July 1.
This does, in one way, nearly capture every area that we haven't looked at previously.
Now, the ministers admit they are still working out the finer details. For instance, parents standing on sidelines, what will happen there. The use of change rooms, of course, those small confined spaces. But they also acknowledge that it is still far from ideal for some business models, particularly dance schools, for example. But they hope to make even further restriction relaxations next month. It all, of course, comes down to the data, and today's wasn't so good, it's worth noting. New South Wales Health releasing the latest official figures showing 6 new cases across New South Wales. The good news, though, all of them acquired overseas. Anne?
Thanks very much, Chris. There's pressure on the Reserve Bank to make economic history and consider negative interest rates. Live now to Network Finance Editor Gemma Acton. Hello, Gemma. No movement from the RBA today, but what would interest rates less than zero mean for the economy?
Well, Anne, it really depends on who you ask. Those who support negative interest rates say that it would lower the cost of borrowing for homeowners and businesses. It would also make banks more willing to lend more, and it would also push down the value of the Australian dollar, so exporters could sell their goods and services overseas more cheaply. Now, people who are against it say, look, Europe has tried this, it doesn't work. We don't see any of those good effects happening, and instead it just brings a whole raft of problems. So very mixed views on the idea. So far in public, Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe has maintained that he doesn't want it to go into negative interest rate territory, but certainly that idea has been gaining more and more traction and more commentary in recent weeks. Needless to say, it would be further bad news for anyone trying to save some money.
Gemma, numbers out today show consumer confidence continues to rise.
Yes, and it's up for the 9th week in a row. It is still far below long-term average levels, but just to put it in some perspective, our confidence levels are higher than they were during the GFC, but quite a lot lower than they were during the recent bushfires at the start of the year. We have taken some confidence recently from better news on the health front when it comes to the pandemic, and also the easing of restrictions has boosted sentiment a little.
Finance Editor Gemma Acton. Thanks, Gemma. A man hired to clean up the damage after a fatal fire on the Central Coast has faced court, accused of stealing the work of the artist who died. More than $100,000 worth of art went missing after the deadly blaze. Natasha Squarey was at court.
Court documents reveal Anthony Jones allegedly stole 87 pieces of art over a 7-week period from the scene of the horrific fire that killed popular Central Coast artist Patrick Carroll late last year. The 50-year-old appeared here at Wyong Court this morning and had his matter adjourned because his lawyer couldn't make it. He refused to comment on the allegations that he pinched the art after he was hired to clean the entrance studio after the October blaze. Mr. Carroll was trapped inside and couldn't be saved. Mr. Jones, did you steal from a dead man? Were you stashing the art at your home? The stolen art included paintings, sculptures, a statue and a camera, which was valued at more than $160,000. Police say they found the items stashed at Jones's home in Maitland, and they've since been returned to Mr. Carroll's distressed family. Jones remains on bail and will return to court in 2 weeks.
We're live to ComSec for the latest on your money next. Plus, one council's plan to spend big on a pandemic memorial. 80 not out, a very special, very different anniversary celebration. And it's 14 degrees in Campbelltown. Brownie will have our forecast shortly.
We're actually in the grand final, the big JF.
Over 3 massive nights.
Teams, welcome to House Rules Grand Final.
Bring it in, boys!
It's the epic Grand Final Challenge.
Here we go, eh?
Let's go! One team will be crowned House Rules champions.
House Rules Grand Final Challenge. Tonight, 7:30.
Let's talk about health insurance and how you could be paying for things you don't need. Comparing might even save you money. Okay, I'll do it for you. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13, 19, 20.
Coming up next, energy prices. Go!
Well, for Benson now, for classic catches gold. Catch it! Yes! Well held, son! Get him into the cordon!
I've seen a car go off a cliff with more grace than that, but geez, the big man has great hands.
That Make It Look Easy moment was brought to you by Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi. Combine your favourite markets, like South to win, into both Latrell and Tedesco to score, and you'll get bigger odds. Same Game Multi from Sportsbet.
Discover new details about your family history with Ancestry. Simply type in a name and let Ancestry guide you on a journey of discovery. Start searching for free at ancestry.com.au.
If dry or flaky skin is causing you frustration and embarrassment, try E45 cream. It soothes and relieves by creating an effective barrier to protect against skin dryness. Feel comfortable in your skin. Switch to E45.
Are you ready to get back to life as you love it? Get full digital news access plus weekend home paper delivery for just $5 a month for the first 3 months. Call 1-800-323-999 today.
Looking for osteoarthritis pain relief?
From June 1st, some products won't be available in front of the counter. Thankfully, there's Nurofen. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteopain for up to 8 hours. Switch to Nurofen.
Customers in New South Wales told us that they saved on average $301 when they switched their combined home and contents insurance online to Budget Direct. So why not get a Budget Direct quote today?
Let's compare health insurance. You might even save some money. Okay, I'll do it. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect.
With a world of knowledge.
The black drongo is a bird species native to which continent? Stop the clock. You flaming drongo?
New The Chase, weekdays on 7.
A German village threatened with demolition to make room for a coal mine is fighting back with music. Some 50 musicians set up at sites around the village to play Beethoven. The village is slated to be destroyed to make space for open-pit coal mining in Germany's Rhineland region. Let's check finance now with James Tower at ComSec. Hello, James. How did local investors react to the RBA rate decision today?
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. And no major surprise in the decision by the RBA to keep rates on hold at 0.25%. But there were some positives in the accompanying statement, much of which was around the fact that the RBA thinks that we could have seen the contraction not as severe as first thought. So that positive saw the Aussie market actually hit a high just a little after that particular announcement was released. The index ended the day up about 16 points, or 0.25%, and making it a second consecutive day of gains as well. We saw our retailing and IT stocks in particular really leading the improvements. Our heavyweights, the likes of mining, energy, and also our healthcare stocks were a little bit weaker, but the Aussie dollar at around 4-month highs, hitting 68 US cents. Anne.
James Tower from ComSec. Thank you, James. A major council fight is expected tonight over plans to spend at least $100,000 on an artwork to remember the COVID pandemic. Evan Batten is on the Northern Beaches walkway where the sculpture could stand. Evan, what's the idea behind the artwork?
Well, and this is sure to raise the fury of ratepayers right across the Northern Beaches. At a time when services are being cut back, the council has voted to commission an artwork, or series of sculptures, if you like, to commemorate, mark and permanently remember the coronavirus. Last week at a council meeting, they agreed to spend a minimum of $100,000, but with no limit, up to a potential $1.7 million on this artwork. Councillors opposed to the idea say it is just the wrong time to be spending this sort of money.
Council's cut infrastructure funding by $20 million. They've cut new footpath spending from $3 million to $2.2 million, and at a time when people are really struggling.
Now, there will be a council meeting tonight where it will be debated whether this motion should be rescinded, although we're told that's not expected to get up. Councillor Penny Philpott told us a short time ago she thinks this is exactly what ratepayers want to see, a lifeline for artists.
There's monuments all around the world for things that, why should we forget? It's history. Seriously, history isn't always good.
So now, unless there is some major development at the council meeting tonight, the working group will be formed and really going full tilt until the end of the year, coming up with a concept to commemorate the coronavirus and our response to it. They hope to have this new sculpture unveiled early next year. Anne.
Sydney's 6 p.m. news is coming up with Mark Ferguson. Hello, Mark. What are you working on in the newsroom?
Yeah, good afternoon, Anne. Here's what we've got for you tonight. The Prime Minister has reacted to an attack on a 7 News crew by US police in Washington, D.C. Describing the violence as troubling, here's a little of how it unfolded.
We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely. Media!
We'll cross live for the latest from the capital as America descends deeper into chaos. Moments before those scenes, Donald Trump made his first speech since the death of George Floyd. What the president is vowing to do and how protesters are responding. Tonight, comprehensive coverage across the country. Also tonight, New South Wales are taking another welcome step out of COVID lockdown with a date set for the reopening of gyms. And a truck fire has caused major traffic problems on the M1. And all those stories and plenty more, Sydney 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
See you then, Fergo. Thank you. A campaign to help prevent suicides has seen New South Wales Police join forces with Lifeline. Officers will help promote a new dedicated phone number for people affected by the coronavirus pandemic and the summer's bushfires. The 13 Help number will be displayed on some highway patrol vehicles to raise awareness. 4:49, let's check on Sydney's traffic.
Good afternoon, Marina Ivanovic here in the Mortgage Choice traffic chopper. We're seeing extensive delays up towards the Central Coast through Bar Point. An earlier truck fire for the M1 approaching Joel's Bridge. We've got extremely heavy delays back past the Hawkesbury River Bridge, and you can see 2 left lanes blocked heading northbound. Mortgage Choice will compare hundreds of home loans to find the right one for you at no cost to you. For low rate home loans and cashback offers from selected lenders, visit mortgagechoice.com.au.
Nancy and Eric Kingston, 99 and 98 years old, have marked an incredible milestone, married for 80 years. It wasn't the party they'd been planning, but family, friends and even a choir all came together to celebrate, at a safe distance, of course.
There was always going to be a party. After all, 80 years of marriage is worthy of celebration. Observing all the socially distanced rules, Eric and Nancy Kingston found their home village on their doorstep.
Oh, it's marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. I didn't think it's going to be like this. I didn't think for a minute it's going to be like this. I thought about 6 people and that'd be it. Look at it. It's wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. Yes.
It was a wartime wedding on June 1st, 1940. Restrictions then ensured it was a simple affair.
I just had enough coupons for my wedding dress and a set of underwear.
80 years together has brought 5 children, 11 grandchildren, 28 great-grandchildren and 14 great-great-grandchildren, coupled with a lifetime of memories. From the moment they met on a blind date on a bridge, Eric felt they had a future together.
I knew I was going to have her. That was in my mind, and that's 80 years ago.
In these strange times, the family, lucky to be able to share the moment. Their love for each other has seen them through 8 decades, and today's party ended as each day begins together. Christian Gubset, 7 News.
Lovely story. Next in 7's Afternoon News, David Brown will be here with your latest weather forecast.
It's already been a season like no other.
I've been kicking the footy with my kids.
I've been playing in the backyard.
But the time has come.
Now we're back. We can't wait to be on the field.
To witness them in battle, there's nothing on earth like it. When they cross that white line, they become something else.
There it is, there it is! Got to get going, I've got to be bold.
And he's got it. When the footy returns, go to the footy on 7.
Go to the footy on 7. Go to the footy on 7.
The season returns Thursday, June 11.
Save up to 10% on your first year's premium when you get a new Allianz home insurance policy online.
Okay, done.
Get that Allianz feeling. Search for a quote today.
Could drive us away. We could be heroes forever and ever. And we could be heroes, oh, just for one day.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of staycations, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc. Which delicious new Arnott's Cracker Chips flavour will you try first? Hickory ribs with sticky glaze or mozzarella and basil bruschetta? Arnott's Cracker Chips, oven roasted, never fried.
Shaver Shop's end of financial year sale. Save up to 80%. Waterpik water flosser now $69.95. Save 55% on Davidoff Cool Water for men and Mac 3 blades now $15.95. Save up to 80% at Shaver Shop. Sale on now.
With a world of knowledge.
The black drongo is a bird species native to which continent? Stop the clock. You flaming drongo.
New The Chase, weekdays on 7.
This weather report proudly brought to you by Australian Red Cross.
America at war.
Being indiscriminate at the moment.
You'll get all the facts on 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Time to check on our weather for tonight and tomorrow. Brownie's back. How's it looking?
It's a little bit cold, isn't it, Anne?
Yes.
Cold and clear, in fact. Today's top, can you believe it? A little over 15 degrees. In fact, there it is, 15.1. That happened, about an hour ago. And that, by the way, that's about 2 degrees below average for this time of year. The current conditions around our state, orange, only 3 degrees. We head further west into Parks, it's 9 degrees. To the south in Canberra, it's also 9 degrees. Broken Hill, way out west, 14 degrees under a partly cloudy sky. Now, a few showers continue to clip parts of the Hunter Coast at the moment. It's dry and generally cloudy elsewhere under this very, very cold southwesterly airstream. Now, strong to gale force southerly surge is on the way. Tomorrow, as this cold front gradually pushes all the way across the Tasman Sea, that strong to gale force southerly surging all the way up towards the Macquarie coast. It's essentially a dry day for most of the state. Just some isolated showers are likely around the southern ranges. And of course, those showers will fall as snow on the Alps. But as we look at the interstate forecast for tomorrow, clear skies in Brisbane, yes, and around 21 degrees, much like today for Melbourne. Cold and showery, quite windy too. Some small hail is likely from time to time, around 14 degrees. Clear for Adelaide and 16 degrees. Back home, high wind chill returns tomorrow once that southerly surge arrives around about late morning. A top of only 18 degrees. More sunshine than today, so it should feel a little bit better. As we move on to that 7-day outlook, the cold winds will start to ease on Thursday. Friday, the pick of the bunch, believe it or not. Sunny, light winds, but it will be frosty in our west first thing. Frosts again are expected to kick off the weekend as well. So that's the latest weather. It's a cold week ahead, Anne.
Thank you very much, Brownie. And that is Sydney's 4 p.m. news for this Tuesday. Mark Ferguson will bring you 7 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Ann Sanders. Stay with 7 Now for the Chase Australia, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.
Are you ready